afternoon tea with Grace and Robin.
And Robin and Grace.
Today's special topic is conformity bias.
Conformity bias refers to our tendency to take cues for proper behavior in most contexts from the actions of others rather than exercise our own independent judgment.
Wow. And as the famous Mr. Q would put it, conformity bias is bias towards conforming to actions/standards that we perceive to be accepted by our peers, groupthink, and peer pressure. Grace, what does conformity bias mean to you?
Well, this is something we actually see in our everyday life. So, for example, in Mr. Q's class, at the beginning of the semester, people would only raise their hands if they saw other people were doing the same. But once we learned about what conformity bias is, you could see people trying to avoid it.
So there was actually a famous study done involving conformity bias called the line test.
And luckily, we have a famous psychologist, Haley Sirac, here to voice it.
Come on, Haley.
Hi, Robin. Hi, Grace. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Of course.
So this experiment that they're talking about is an experiment done by a very famous psychologist named Solomon Asch. So basically what he did is he had 7 Confederates in a room, which means 7 people that knew the intent behind the study, and then he had 1 male student come in that didn't know anything. So basically he had a series of line tests where he would have different sizes of lines, and then he would ask the people in the room to point out which line matched the line in the other
Was
group
it like
of
an
lines.
example line
Yeah.
they had?
Yes,
Okay.
so it was on board. And so the Confederates were told to choose the wrong line 100% of the time, which they did. And basically he wanted to see if the one man in the room that didn't understand what was happening would conform and choose the wrong line even though he knew it was wrong. And the study found that a third conformed the whole time.
Wow.
And 25% never conformed at all, but 75% of the people confirmed at least once.
So no one is immune to conformity bias,
No
really,
one is
except for that
immune to
25%, I
conformity
guess.
What do you think you would do in that situation?
Well, obviously I picked the right one.
It's wishful thinking, Robin.
So we actually decided to put this theory to the test, and we went into a sorority with about 300 girls, and we staged the front row of women, who was the executive board that sat facing the crowd, to raise their hand to answer a question. So this front row of women had a specific answer that they chose to use, and then everyone, we wanted to see if they would follow their answer.
So I'm doing a little study for my class, and are you guys aware of like the new scooter rules on campus, like the geofencing thing? Well, for those of you that don't know, there's new rules because a lot of people were, getting in accidents, and that wasn't good on campus. So they made it so the scooters can't go over 8 miles per hour when you're on campus, like they physically can. So I just kind of want to ask you guys about your opinions on that. So if you would just raise your hand if you agree with that new rule. Okay, and now raise your hand if you disagree with it. Alright, that's all I need. Thank you, that's it.
So as you can see in the video, at first, there was only a couple girls brave enough to raise their hands, but after the executive board raised their hand,
Everyone their hands exponentially shot up. Everyone was really hesitant at first and was kind of looking around, and you could literally see as soon as a big mass raises their hand, everyone's hand shot up.
Yeah.
And then we asked who doesn't agree, and there were people that didn't raise their hands. Like, we looked at that video for a while, and we said, who doesn't agree with this? And I think there was 2 brave girls that shyly went like this and then put their hands down.
You could see that the majority weren't comfortable enough to go against the crowd.
Yeah.
And so now we're going to see how this works in smaller settings. So we're going to interview a couple students around the University of Texas and see what they have to say.
So here's some footage. We're going to interview the next person that walks out that door.
Excuse me, can we have a minute of your time today?
Sure, what's up?
Yeah, so I'm actually a brand ambassador for Lime bike scooters, you know.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I ride those all the time.
Yeah, so actually they're really, really dangerous, and a lot of people have been getting into accidents. So UT recently imposed new regulations where people can't ride them over 8 miles per hour in order to increase safety and just the ease of walking around campus. So as a Line user yourself, I was just wondering what y'all's opinions were on these new regulations.
They're so necessary. I think it's such a danger to campus.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
They're really dangerous.
And even user, you would say that you like the regulations?
Yeah, like hearing your viewpoint, I definitely think that there should be higher regulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
for your time.
Hi!
Hi.
Do you mind if I borrow you for a second?
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So I'm actually a brand ambassador for the Line scooters that you've seen everywhere. Everyone's obsessed with them. They're their new craze because they get people places really fast, really conveniently, and if you use them correctly, it's actually just helping all of our lives in a great way. And UT's like trying to impose these new regulations where you can't ride them over 8 miles per hour, which kind of defeats the whole purpose. I mean, you might as well run to class at that point if you're in a rush. So I'm just here to kind of ask you your opinion and how you feel about the new regulations.
I'm super against these regulations. You should be able to ride it however you want and in your own control. What do you think?
I think so too. I think students should have the right to ride.
To ride them
Scooters,
out.
Yeah, because like it's there for them. You know?
Right.
And if they put too much regulations, and it's like taking out the opportunity for them to get what they want.
Exactly. So what did you just watch? Let us tell you.
So Robin played a line expert, and I was supposed to be another passerby, and we would stop someone, and Robin would share her opinion, and then I would jump in with a strong opinion afterwards, and we'd like to see if they were siding with us or siding against us. And 100% of the time, they sided with us.
Yeah, so we use like two main mechanisms. The way that the questions were framed kind of expressed opinion, even though we came off as neutral. We knew that actually just the way that we asked the question kind of led the interviewee to want to conform to our opinions. And then Grace would hop in with her super aggressive opinion. And with both of our participants, each time they ended up following the opinion that we led them to.
In either direction, for and against. So.
Yeah, and actually the first person that we interviewed, she's a well-known Lyme user. So we know that might not be the way she really feels. So that is conformity bias in the works.
And it's raw.
It's raw, so raw.
So thank you for tuning in today. I
Yeah.
hope you learned a lot about conformity bias. And
Mid-afternoon tea.
we'll see you next week to talk about self-serving bias.
We can't wait. Thank you.
Thanks.